people are saying
It's good now.
Some people are saying it's
Okay.
good, but people have been saying it's good for. People are saying it's good. You fixed something.
Okay. Wow, I fixed something. I'm happy with that. Okay. Well, let's not push our luck then.
All
I
right,
guess.
all right. This is good enough. All right, let's go.
Okay. Let's prepare for the official here. Okay. Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Important.
I'm recording.
Let me check as well. Okay, I'm also recording.
All right, I think we're all good.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
good. Then, welcome everyone to the Wano Report, episode 29. We are live. This is a second for our podcast. Thanks so much for joining in.
Oh yeah, this is the second
Of
stream.
course.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt the opening.
Oh, not at all.
Do you want to restart it?
Of course, this. No. Yeah, let's restart the opening. No one will notice.
Yeah.
It's not like there's people listening right now or anything. No, of course, this will be re-uploaded in better quality for everyone who couldn't make the stream. But if you're in the chat, I see already a couple of people. Welcome and thanks for joining us. We'll be doing, I guess, these live events here and then. Today seemed pretty good because there's no new chapter this weekend, so we thought we'd answer some questions and discuss a few things. And also, for the first time in a while, neither Morj nor I have to be somewhere very soon, at least as far as I know.
Yeah.
So that's a first. And yeah. Oh, I shouldn't scream, someone said. Okay, so I'm gonna stop screaming.
Before we were too quiet. All right, whatever.
It's whatever. It's gonna be like this, and then I hope people can live with it. So how are you doing, Morj?
I'm
how
doing
are you
okay.
coping with no chapter?
Oh, with no chapter.
Or it's in general, of course.
So when there's no chapter, I I just pretend. I don't know. Like I shut off the One Piece needing part of my brain. So I just pretend there is no One Piece, basically. Like, does that make sense?
That's harsh.
It's so...
That does make sense.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help when I have to talk about it. But I'm okay with the fact that there's no chapter. I've accepted it. Would like a chapter, but there isn't one. I hear there's one next week. So...
I do hear so as well. Yeah.
Probably read that.
Let's definitely hope there's one this week. In general, is there anything maybe to get into the bit? Is there anything we didn't talk about in the last chapters, in the last podcasts? Anything that we missed?
Shoot.
Oh, audio is gone. Wow. And then audio is good here. And then some say audio is an ASMR.
Oh wait. What? What's going on?
We're just gonna keep going and pretend this is just us talking and ignore the chat.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I don't think the audio is gonna be any better.
Wait, can they hear us still? They can hear us, right?
Yeah, they can hear
Okay.
us. They can hear
We're
us.
okay.
Just I feel like probably some people who are new in the chat haven't turned their volume up to 100%.
Oh, okay.
And have their earphones in and have isolated themselves in a noise-proof room.
Okay, let me just say turn your volume up. I'll type that in the chat.
Oh yeah, just type that in the chat. Turn your volume. Nice. Okay, so it looks pretty good.
Actually, no, they're saying it's good.
Yeah, it should
Alright.
be. It should be fine. Did you type it out anyway?
Yeah. Was there anything else from before?
I don't think. I think we covered most things. So if you want, guys, you can just keep supplying us with questions today, as we actually have time to answer a couple of questions you have. And no, there's no new chapter this weekend, as I already see.
Yeah.
A couple of questions rolling in. Did you talk about Kaido skipping leg day? Did we talk about that?
I mean, I don't have much to say on that. Just like, looks weird.
It looks weird, but like to be honest, I really like Kaido's character design. Like both of them. I like the like kind of punky style he had in the flashback, but I also really like the cultural appropriation phase he went through apparently in the last 20 years.
Yeah. I like current Kaido's design better, I think.
It's really
Yeah,
dope.
current Kaido's design is better, but old Kaido is pretty cool too. Maybe he's been, doing squats and stuff like that since then, and that's like the main area that he's gotten stronger. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell right now.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, in general, I'm just curious. Do you think maybe this is a nice topic to get into because I've been thinking about that a bit? do you think we will actually go now from the raid directly to, like, do you think the plan will succeed, as at least the initial plan, that they sneak into the castle, or do you think they will be discovered before they even get to do a surprise attack?
Oh, haven't they been discovered though? Right. So,
Well, only by the three, but like, did they already contact Kaido and Big Mom? I don't think so,
oh,
right?
man, I would. Oh, yeah. No, it's hard to tell, right? Was there any? There was no panel of like a Den Mushi, or no? What do they call them in Wano? The snails, smails.
The snail.
Yeah, the snails. I think. Yeah. Shoot, Wano has poor communication, but I forget exactly. So there's the boss snail, and then there's those snails.
Right.
I don't know if that means that there's no Den. Okay, I have to check up on that again, basically. But I don't know. I don't know if they contacted them at all.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think so. Did they?
I don't think there was a panel of it.
Because as far as I know, Kaido isn't even aware that the prison has been liberated.
That's
no?
true. Yeah, but that's good. Yeah, because Kyoshiro was in charge of the place, so Kyoshiro is obviously not going to report that, because then that defeats the point of it. So I don't know. They're not aware. Yeah, let's say right now they're not aware of everything that just happened, I guess.
Right. I do agree. Yeah. I'm just curious, especially since you're the person who's the biggest supporter of the Fire Festival ending in failure.
Yeah.
You nonetheless expect that we'll get a proper battle, right? It won't be, or do you expect it to be, oh, they try to do the surprise attack, they get caught before,
Oh,
or like they
no.
get discovered and then it feels like
I think there's a fight for sure.
Okay.
I definitely think that there's a fight. Just don't know if it's gonna be like a very long fight. You know what I mean? Like I think it'll be a big like and that's not even bad, because if you go back and read like Marineford, Marineford felt really long, but it was only, I guess I'm saying only 30 chapters. 30 chapters is quite a bit. 30 chapters is a lot, but like I would expect, personally, if this doesn't go well, I would expect this to be, maybe like wrapping up by chapter 1000 or something like that.
Right. That would be, yeah. I'm super curious what's gonna happen in that chapter, because we all know, like, in the hundreds,
Yeah.
like Oda always like to do some stuff, but then it's like chapter 1000.
He's gotta have
Do you
something
even
really
do you
big.
even think will be? I'm wondering. Do you think that'll be something that happens in Wano, or do you feel like that might even be something so big that it might be out of Wano?
Oh, you're saying like a outside world type thing, like similar to
Like a Reverie?
yeah, like
Back to Reverie
957
or something?
like one of those chapter
Yeah.
types.
Maybe something like that. What do you think?
Shoot. I had expected it would be something in Wano, but now that I'm thinking about it, like let's say, shoot, so I guess there's two ways it goes, right? So like let's say it's the route that the Fire Festival doesn't work out, right? Things go
Right.
south. Then maybe things would be wrapped up by chapter 1000, in which case like chapter 1000 can be some sort of big outside world reveal, like or something like that, or something really like Vegapunk, or something really really mind-blowing.
That would be dope.
But then if things do go well and like this is really the final battle, then I would bet chapter 1000 would be
Oh.
something like I'm still considering that. Like I'm not just going to go purely like, oh, because I think that the Fire Festival fails, that means that we're just going to talk about that or whatever. But like, chapter 1000, maybe it'd be something like, is Gear 5th too soon, you think, if it was something like that? Probably too soon.
Okay, so maybe I'm personally not a big fan of Gear 5th, if I'm
Oh,
honest.
period?
I don't think there is a Gear 5th.
You don't think there is a Gear 5th yet, or there won't be a Gear 5th?
Well, there definitely isn't one yet,
Yeah.
but I also don't like the idea that there will be one.
Oh, man. Why?
Because I mean, we still, like, okay, the exception to this would be if like Luffy calls his awakening Gear 5th,
Okay.
then I would be okay with this. But like, there's still his awakening, and I feel like, I don't know, having like a Gear 5th plus an awakening plus all the hockey things we're gonna see might be a bit much. But
Do you remember?
maybe that's just me.
Luffy got one-shotted by Kaido before. I think he needs,
Yeah.
like, a lot
But then,
at this point. So, like, in my mind, like, even if he, like, even mastering this armament, hockey, and such, that doesn't, to me, he still needs, like, way more, basically. Because the gap between him and, like, the strongest characters in my mind is, like, probably really huge. Especially, like, like, looking at like back when Roger and Whitebeard were clashing in their heyday, like that's just a whole nother level from even like probably in my mind the top characters right now. So to me, it's like Luffy definitely needs a gear fifth at this point, just because there's no like it's hard to see like even if he mastered his armament hockey or whatever, it doesn't seem like it's anywhere near of a boost enough to get him like to beating Yonko type characters in my mind.
Right. Yeah, no. I do agree with that. Yeah.
Well,
I just
okay.
I guess for me the issue is rather the naming because I feel I don't know.
What's it gonna
But
be
then
called?
yeah, but then maybe like if Oda goes with like card tiers, I think that's like something where people derive this from.
Yeah, to me it just makes sense that there's it's 5 gears.
Gear fifth.
Yeah. Plus, I think it would be almost I don't know like stopping it at like Gear Fourth came out pretty early, like in the new like it was like against Doflamingo all the way. Sorry, Gear Fourth, yeah, came out really early against Doflamingo, for example. Like relatively speaking, in the grand scheme of things. So
Right.
I would just be surprised if like Luffy's final form was revealed all the way back then against just like Doflamingo, basically.
No, yeah, I do agree. I just checked made sure the audio is okay,
Okay.
but it looks fine. I put so again. Last time I'm gonna mention this, but yeah, I put my phone on full volume. But I think also if you put headphones in, it should be fine. For those of you who just joined us, thank you and welcome to the stream. I also just got your message where you asked me if I can hear or see you.
Oh, on Twitter. This was from like a while back.
Yeah, I just saw it like 13 minutes ago. I'm like, my God, I can though. But yeah, let's maybe. Do you have the chat open as well, so we can just
Yeah, I have the chat. Oh shoot, let me pick some questions.
skim through a couple of questions.
Non-existent said Pikachu is stronger than NL.
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea how strong Pikachu is.
Isn't NL stronger than Pikachu? Right? NL can do
Oh.
also. NL Sync and well, he had Maxim.
But then electricity attacks aren't very effective against Pikachu. I guess.
NL has Mantra. I mean, observation hockey.
All right.
So and electricity attacks shouldn't be effective against NL either.
Have you ever played Pokemon? Because I used to love the games, but I haven't played in forever.
No, I never had Pokemon. I never had I never had a Game Boy, DS, anything like that. So I didn't get to
Right.
play Pokemon. But I watched
Damn.
plenty of the TV show. Wait,
Alright.
can't you be hurt by the same type as you? I would definitely watch Charizard fighting like a magma creature or something like that.
As far as I know, I think if you're attacked by the same type, it does damage, but it doesn't do a very like it's not very effective or something like that.
Then I think
So,
NL beats
yeah.
Pikachu then. Because I don't
You
think,
think?
yeah, because lightning shouldn't hurt NL, but lightning can hurt Pikachu.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Like I don't know, cause what's his name? Ash. I never watched the anime really, but I know that there's been like season after season after season, pretty much with every game.
Mhm.
So his Pikachu must be so leveled up at this point.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know.
But, yeah.
I guess I don't know enough about the Pokemon power scaling
Yeah.
to be able to see.
Same.
And people are telling
but
me Ash is
maybe that'll
Pikachu.
that'll be something for the next power leveling stream we do. Match up all the Pokemon. What's your thought in general? Going a bit back to Luffy's power ups. What's your thought on Luffy's awakening? Do you think it's just making his surroundings rubber, basically what we already saw with Katakuri, or do you feel it's gonna be something different?
Yeah, I do think it is making the surroundings rubber, and that seemed like really weird to me for a long time. It just seemed, it just seemed weird to think about, like it just didn't seem like a Luffy-like ability. But then
Right.
after thinking about it for a while, it makes sense because it's a hard counter to Blackbeard's ability, the Guru Guru fruit. So once that made sense, like that just seems to fit really well. Like like creating a world of rubber is a hard counter to basically like the tremor fruit. So once that made sense, I was just like, okay, so in my mind, I would personally guess that the awakening, whenever that were to happen, that would be in his matchup with Blackbeard. So that's how I've kind of imagined it. Not to mention, like, Bellamy had that spring hopper move, obviously, like, bouncing around everywhere. I could see Luffy doing something like that, especially because, like,
Right.
Gear Fourth already is a little bit based off of what Bellamy does, so it would be another cool callback.
Yeah. But I feel at the same time wouldn't that kind of be the same thing as Gear Fourth? Because Luffy is already rubber, so he doesn't need the environment to be rubber to move around, right?
That's true. I wonder how much it even helps him if does it increase his... It would have to, like, significantly increase his bounciness, or there'd have to be, like, a lot of creative ways to do it.
Right.
And I don't know what that would be at the moment, basically. But at the moment, at the basic level, I'm just like, okay, this seems to be... If it were to turn the world into rubber, then that does seem to be very well matched up against Blackbeard's fruit. So I would assume that would be when it comes out or something like that. Or I would assume that would be what it is, basically.
I guess I'm also curious to see whether that will be something that Luffy will use as an offensive technique or as a defense.
Yeah.
So I guess you could do either. It's literally a very malleable fruit
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
The thing is, like, if Awakening is something different than, like, because, okay, so we've seen 2 out of the Parmentias, right? We've seen 2 Awakenings so far. And both of them were explained to basically be, turn the world into whatever your ability is. So that's what I'm rolling with at the moment. I'm just like, based on what we know, it seems to be that. And then based on what, like, the hypothetical Blackbeard matchup, that seems to fit. So I'm like, okay, it seems weird to me, but I'm just kind of accepting that that's what it's going to be. And then if it's something else that's, like, more interesting, that'd be great too. So, yeah, right. I'm leaving it at that. If it's not that, like, that's cool too.
I do agree. Yeah. I think I'm just curious. I just want to see it kind of now.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really excited. But I'm also excited to see, and I feel like people keep forgetting that Luffy actually already got a power-up in this arc that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if I just don't think Awakening's coming out just yet.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just don't think Awakening's coming out just yet. I wonder if, like, Luffy first has to, like, it's Hockey coming first, because that's kind of been on the train that he's been on. Observation, then Armament, then possibly Conquerors or whatever. And then Awakening is being saved for Blackbeard. Or if, maybe it turns out Awakening is the key to beating Kaido. It's so hard to predict so far. It would just be, okay, yeah. If the final battle is today, right? Like, this actually is the final battle. And then I think it would be kind of out of the blue if Luffy pulls out Awakening right now. Because it just feels like a little out of nowhere. So I think there has to be a bit more lead up.
I do agree. Something I've seen in the chat that I also think is interesting is talking a bit about another possible Kurozumi. Do you think there's a chance that someone like Tama, I think there's been a lot of speculation based on the hair color and that she's an orphan, for example.
Oh, shoot.
What do you think about that?
Shoot, I'd never heard of that. Tama's a Kurozumi? I'd not heard it. I'd heard people toss around, like, Zoro Kurozumi, and I'm like, whoa.
What? Really?
Guess that would be interesting. But Tama?
But Zoro is basically almost confirmed to have a connection to the Fox clan thingy, right?
Zoro Kurozumi. Well, yeah, Shimotsuki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people were throwing around, oh, this would be really interesting. I'm like, that would be interesting, I guess. But Tama would be really, really cool. That would be...
Right.
I'm trying to think, like, would she be Orochi's... No, because you don't have to be a direct bloodline. Like, Kanjuro is a Kurozumi, and he's not directly... Right. Like, he's not, like, Orochi's brother or anything like that, right?
No, yeah. It's a clan, I guess, yeah. But she has, like, the purple hair, and she's an orphan. So,
what do you think, just in general, what do you think, like, okay, along those lines, Tama's potential role going forward in the story is? Like, why is she an important character? Her ability, obviously. But in general, what do you think?
Um, well, I personally still believe that Tama right now, maybe with the except, like, I mean, I literally have no idea what the entire thing with Jinbei is right now. So, but yeah, for Tama, I think she's a top contender of becoming the person from Wano that joins the crew for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told me this.
Yeah, because we talk a lot about inherited will on this podcast.
Yes.
And we do know that Luffy inherited Ace's will for sure. And Ace promised Tama to take her out to sea.
That's true.
So I still like, I know a lot of people think, oh, if there's going to be like a cabin boy kind of situation, that might be Momo. But I still personally, I rather see it to be Tama personally. Because she was the person who we first properly got introduced to in Wano. And she's been hanging around a lot. But like, there still hasn't been any proper role for her to, like, if you know what I mean. So I still expect there to be more for her to do, or more to be to her character. But I honestly, I mean, I know a lot of people have immediately thrown around the idea that, especially when Kaido's dragon form was revealed, that Tama is just gonna tame Kaido.
That would be
but, like,
that would be overkill. I mean, that would be nuts.
That would be a bit overkill. Yeah. But I think I really like her character. I think Oda did a great job with her. I think she has a very interesting devil fruit that definitely would have already come in very handy over the course of the story so far when we think back. So I'd like to see Tama join the crew, but even if she doesn't, I still think that she will have a role to play. What's your thought on that?
I've begun to lean more and more toward, because I told you before, like, I thought Momo's gonna be more so the if somebody's joining as a cabin boy, cabin girl, or whatever, or cabin boy, I thought it was gonna be Momo.
Right.
But I've leaned more towards agreeing at this point that Tama could be the next Straw Hat. It just feels kind of right because the Ace thing, the Momo kind of most likely being positioned as potential ruler of Wano after this, if he's ready. So he wouldn't be necessarily coming along. She's got a very useful ability, and Luffy and the crew already seem to like her. And if she is Kurozumi, which is just kind of what was mentioned just now, that probably puts in the tragic past that we're probably going to be getting at some point or another. So Tama does seem like a really, really good option at this point. Yeah, I think either her or Momo is going to join. Out of like the Wano specific characters, either her or Momo is going to join. I'm leaning now more towards Tama. I could still see Momo, but yeah, I do think Tama's a better bet at this point.
Yeah, no, I do agree. In general, who do you see ruling over Wano at the end of this arc? Is it rather Momo for you, or is it Hiyori? Like, who do you see?
I mean, it's just the two ways that it could go, right? So, like, if Momo's the crew member, right, then it's for sure Hiyori, with Momo most likely. Like, Momo said that he's going to be the Shogun of Wano one day, right? So that's definitely going to happen. It's just the age issue. So, or it's not an issue. We don't know, because all those people were bowing that people are treating him as their leader already. So with Momo, it's basically like, does Oda want to oh shoot, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my internet might be freezing. Yeah, it's basically like, does Oda want to end this arc with basically saying like, okay, Momo's now ready to rule, or it's basically, okay, Momo has the makings of a great leader, but he needs to grow a little more, and so he continues on with the crew first. So that's basically it. Like, I think either way, Hiyori would be the placeholder leader, because Momo's kind of, he's made it it's his ambition or whatever to become Shogun. So he will eventually become Shogun. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I do agree. I just read an interesting comment that said, what about Tama and Momo joining the crew, just as, like, I guess, kind of like Buggy and Shanks.
Oh.
I mean, I'd be okay with that too.
Oh.
I guess.
What? Momo and Tama. How would I feel about that?
How would you feel about that?
No, that's so weird. Momo and Tama. That's like two kids joining the crew. That's just a little, I don't know. That's like a very wide spec. Yeah, I guess that'd be interesting. Wait, how do you feel? Because I just don't know.
I wouldn't mind. I think that would actually be be interesting because I do like both of them. I mean, Momo hasn't really shown us too much of what he's actually like. I still okay. Well, Momo is such an interesting character because I still have expectations for his character arc, especially in Wano. And I think that arc doesn't necessarily have to be him becoming a leader, but I think it has to be at least him taking the course that he wants to take, whether that is, ruling over Wano or going with the Straw Hats. I do expect some sort of development from his character, and I think that's been set up by Oda, like these high expectation everyone has based on his relation to Odin, of course.
Oh,
I think that's something. Yeah.
Continue.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you can go. So there. So that is definitely something I want to see. I think I would like to see both of them because I feel like that would bring a fresh dynamic to the crew, like having both of them together, because they could have a dynamic together, the two of them, and then of course with the crew. I think I would like that.
That'd be interesting. I mean, it would make the crew pretty big, depending on how many. Because we'd be getting Jinbei as well as that. So that's.
Will we?
I think we get Jinbei. And shout outs to Red X, who I'm seeing in the chat, and who I've talked to many times, and it's helping think through my thoughts in the past. Before. Red X mentioned Carrot could be getting her own. Depends on Carrot's plotline. What do you think about Carrot at this point? Because I don't know if we talked about Carrot last time. Did we? I forget.
It's a good question.
Because the thing is, so Carrot, I'd written off totally as crew member material at this point because she seemed like a candidate. I wouldn't even say a strong candidate. She seemed like a candidate in the making to me after Whole Cake Island, right? She got focused there. It's like everything depends on how much time Oda decides to allocate to fleshing her out and focusing on her in Wano, and then basically. We didn't get anything of her in Wano. We got like one silent panel of her or something like that. Like grieving over a death. And I think that was basically it. Maybe it was... Yeah, that was basically that. But then she was on the ship, right? Like she was on the Thousand Sunny with the rest of the Straw Hats when they're showing up to save the Scabbards. So, What do you think?
I don't know. Carried also for me... I think, like, similar to what you said regarding Kinemon last time, where you said you kind of were a bit annoyed, but then at some point you just started liking him, but you can't really pinpoint how that happened.
Yeah, it was the same for me with... for me with Carrot, by the way, I do know the point, but continue.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how it been with Carrot for me, I guess. Because, well, I think, obviously she has, like, a cute character design, and, like, having a mink on the crew would obviously make sense, just like, since the point of since a big theme of Luffy is obviously bringing the different races together and like creating friendship and peace, so it would make sense, and I kind of do believe that she will join the crew, but I can't really. So you seem to have an opinion, so I'm gonna let you share that because I literally don't. I can't pinpoint why I kind of started liking her.
Oh, I mean, I actually didn't like her a lot for most of Whole Cake Island. Not didn't like her, but I just didn't get what the hype was about her because people were hyping her up as the next crewmate from like the moment that she'd landed on their ship, as a stowaway. So I didn't really get that. I thought that she was just an additional character to add to the dynamic of the arc because, Oda does stuff like that. Like there's many times when he'll throw in fun side characters. I thought that's what Carrot was. But then I think that changed for me around, and most of the time she wasn't really contributing much besides like sidekick comments. So I didn't really get why people were so enamored with her character. But then when Pedro died, she did showcase a lot. We just saw more of her after that point, right? We saw like actual emotional reaction, emotional investment from her. We got a very brief little flashback or insight for her into what Pedro meant for her. And I actually did like that moment when she was getting mad for Pedro and like yelling at coming after Katakuri to try and get him off the ship. I liked her seeing, Perospero and Big Mom coming and being upset about that. I don't know, that there was like a little sequence of chapters right after Pedro died that I think did add some sort of like a not just a
Right. Depth.
happy-go-lucky character, rabbit character. Like it's like okay, so she actually is a
The
character. And then the Sulong transformation, I think, was just one of the coolest moments in Whole Cake Island. So that did help me get a little more on board of the carrot hype train. So I
right.
came out of Whole Cake Island being like, okay, let's see in Wano where this goes. She could be a
Right.
really cool addition to the crew. And then for a
I
while,
g-
she didn't do anything, and then suddenly she's on the Sunny again. So interesting to see.
yeah. I guess for me the small issue I have with Carrot, and I guess a couple of people have, is that while she did some stuff, like she was definitely not useless in Whole Cake Island, but especially on Wano, she has been lacking any sort of focus. So you don't have with Carrot and Wano, I have the feeling she's a part of the Minx and not that she's a part of the Straw Hats there.
Yes, I mean that's how I felt up till now. I felt like okay, so this is kind of Oda making it clear to us. Okay, she was a companion character for Whole Cake Island, but she's not Straw Hat material or whatever.
Yeah,
She was being
yeah,
grouped with
yeah.
the Minx throughout, but then it's just last chapter that has swung that whole thing out of balance for me because it's like, well, she's with the Straw Hats again. Like she's
Right.
not just with the other Minx. So that doesn't mean anything on its own, but it also doesn't mean nothing. It could go either way at this point. Especially, I mean, we've been talking about this a lot, but a lot of it comes down to okay, is the arc ending now, or is the arc ending much later? And if the arc's ending much later, then there's a lot more time left for her to actually play some sort of a role. Maybe Oda just didn't have time to give her focus towards the beginning because it wasn't important. But if this is the finale of the arc, then there's no way that she's a crew member in my mind.
Yeah, yeah. No, she definitely has to contribute a bit more, I feel, to earn that.
Yeah, there's
I
several things.
I saw a very funny comment.
Mhm.
I can't find it anymore, but it basically asked that if one of us is gonna do a reaction video to Dritz to Dritz the One Piece and big One Piece analysis, One Piece criticism that he's producing apparently.
Oh,
And I think I think
the
I can say that I won't, but I think Morj definitely plans on reacting to that live as far as I know.
I've literally never mentioned that. I'm not reacting to anybody else's video because that'd be weird. But if
Would be
it's
funny
not
though.
like a long video, then I'm definitely gonna watch parts of it or something like that. Like I don't know because he's posted stuff on stream where it looks like it's gonna be like
Well,
like several hours long or something. I don't know, based on like word count or something like that. So I don't know. It will
yeah.
depend on how long the video is, but I'm interested to see because like I have my own thoughts right now of like uh where I think like the again a lot of this depends for me if basically like is this the final battle or whatever because I mean I'll say here on stream if this is the final battle then I can look back at lots of other times that Oda's set up sort of final battles that have felt a lot more dramatic or more emotional going into them. Right? So a lot of it for me depends on if this is the end of the arc. And then I'll make my opinion after that plays out. That's not to say that, again, this is why I'm saying like after the arc plays out, because even if it does turn out to be the final battle, maybe by the end of the arc, I think Oda did an amazing job regardless, and like the fact that I don't feel that much going into it right now isn't a problem, right? But
right.
I'm just saying going back based compared to something like going into an Ennis lobby or heading towards the final battle of Alabasta or even like an Arlong Park, the tone is not quite as heavy as it was at those points, basically. And especially for the Straw Hats, they're taking it a lot more lightly right now than they were for those battles. So that's partly why I'm expecting this not to be the end of the arc. But if it is, then I don't know. I'd have to give Wano like a full reread and be like, okay, did Oda like not match his previous finales here or something like that? So I don't know.
Right.
I'll have to see.
Well, I mean, I guess at the same time, if this is the last battle of the arc, the main battle, then I do expect it to last for quite some time because it has basically been the battle that Oda has foreshadowed for like forever, basically. So I do, and like we already talked about a lot of things. Like we do feel all of the Straw Hats should have the chance to fight. All of the Straw Hats should have the chance to really truly show how they've grown, what they're made out of. Especially some people like Zoro or other characters who haven't gotten a real fight so far in the new world. So I also do agree that we talked about this often. I do agree that I personally think it would be a lot more interesting from a storytelling perspective if this wasn't the final battle but another failure. But at the same time, I wouldn't automatically say that. I know you didn't say that, but like I personally wouldn't automatically say that it makes the arc bad if this was to be the final battle. I think a lot of the arc just rests on the execution of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's again why I said no matter what, I'm waiting till the end of the end of the event to see how I feel on it. Basically, you know what? I think maybe I'll do. It depends. Maybe I'll do, if I have time, maybe I'll do like a shorter video basically detailing. This isn't going to be like criticism or not criticism. This is just going to be my thoughts, I guess, on basically like, here was the atmosphere that Oda tended to set up. Generally sets up before real final battles. This is where we're at in Wano, basically. Yeah, something like that, maybe. Maybe I'll do a short video on that. Just sharing my thoughts, basically. Because it's interesting. Because Wano has been set up like this is a really big battle, this is a really big battle, this is a really big battle, and we've been hearing it from pretty much every character except for the Straw Hats themselves is the main thing. Do you know what I mean? So like for the Straw Hats themselves, most of the time, and you can go back and read through all of the chapters leading up to like the chapters that ended Act 2, the chapters starting Act 3, just now when they showed up. It's been fairly easy going for them. Luffy and Zoro are the only two who have shown like very significant, or even significant emotion, at all throughout this arc. And Zoro, it was very briefly when Yasu died. Luffy, I guess you could say the prison scene, basically. So that's the big difference. So to me, like just saying like this is the final battle that everything has been built up to, that's from the people of Wano's perspective. Like most of that's coming from the Scabbards, so it needs to come from the Straw Hats generally to really have that atmosphere come in.
I mean, it would be kind of weird if the Scabbards and the Straw Hats went into that battle and be like, probably it's gonna fail.
I mean, we don't know. Like, obviously, like a lot can happen, especially if it's a long battle. Even if it doesn't fail, it's a long battle. A lot can happen to get the Straw Hats more, like, So I'm not casting any sort of like, oh, this is bad right now because this isn't happening. Okay, like I'm not doing that. I'm just doing basically, this feels different than certain other moments. So either it's gonna fail or we're in for like a very long ride that's gonna get us to that where it needs to be emotionally or whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah, I do agree. Do you guys think Momo and Tama will be aged up this arc?
Momo and Tama will be what?
Oh, aged up.
Oh, dude, I kind of do. Okay. Again, there's two worlds, right? There's the world where everything ends here, and then there's the world where it doesn't. I think if this is not the final battle, then I do think that like, because I expect Jewelry Bonnie to show up in Wano. Because Kuma could send her there, for example. I could totally see, and I made a video on this even. Like, I could totally see, Bonnie like aging them up or something like that. Like that'd be really interesting.
The only thing that bothers me about that, like I like the idea, because basically, especially Momo, he lost 20 years that everyone else had.
Yeah.
To grow up, but at the same time, I also wonder, just because I'm physically 20 years older doesn't mean it's literally physical growth. It doesn't mean I have changed as a person. I'm basically still a kid. So I feel like it would only make sense if it kind of doesn't make sense now that I feel, because like it would mean that you would have to actually live these 20 years, but you can't just, make Momo. I mean, if it would be like a time capsule thing, you can't just like putting Momo 20 years while everyone else is frozen would also be kind of harsh. That would be kind of like, so I wonder how that's going to look like, aging someone up.
The thing is, so Momo Momo's in a tough spot because like no matter even if Momo gets aged up, and
He's
turns
still
out to be
Momo.
like really badass or something aged up, he's never gonna be like half as good as Odin. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Odin set the bar so high, in terms of just like, yeah, like no matter how strong Momo is, even if he's like aged up or something like that, like he's got such big shoes to fill,
Yeah,
compared to his
exactly.
father. Like his dad was what, like killing bears and stuff when he was younger than Momo or something. Like he was doing some crazy stuff.
Something ridiculous,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
he didn't even have a devil fruit. Momo has a devil fruit. Oh, dude, Momo
Yeah, we
fighting with
haven't.
a if Momo was aged up, then Momo fighting with his devil fruit would be pretty cool.
I'm wondering if like with Momo's Devil Fruit. Also, I do still have expectations that like this will connect to the story somehow, but I don't really see right now how. I guess, and there's still. I mean, we still have so many. I think Oda made it a point in the last two chapters to actually tie up a lot of the open ends we had in Wano. But at the same time, there are still so many open ends left. So I'm just wondering how we're gonna get all of that, done before moving on, and not like you often say, without making Wano the longest arc ever. Um,
I mean, I think it still is, but like some
Probably.
things he ties up pretty neat. So like we got Kyoshiro and the Witching Hour Boy, those two things, and the Komurosaki's bet. Like we got all that stuff wrapped in one chapter. So I guess it depends how many things tie together. It's hard to say. I mean, and that's not the same as what you're talking about necessarily. But like, I don't know. Oda's able to make stuff connect pretty good. Um, it depends. Basically, there's. I'm thinking there's so much stuff. So we still haven't gone to that big mountain. Am I the only one who cares about that big
Yeah,
mountain?
Fuji, yeah, and then all the Void Century stuff that also Kaido is interested in, right? Like, because that's like why he set up after.
Exactly, dude. There's poneglyphs here. There's
Yeah,
so many poneglyphs. They're like
Kaido has a road poneglyph,
Kaido
right?
has,
I
yeah,
think.
Kaido's got poneglyph. Like there's the poneglyph in Orochi's basement. There's the poneglyphs that they got back from Whole Cake Island. Like
Yeah,
it's like candy. There's just poneglyphs everywhere. Um, Red X mentioned the plotline of Zoro being related to Shimotsuki. That needs to be resolved somehow. Um, can't be done at Onigashima. I mean, Red X, I'm on board. Like, I strongly don't think that it ends with the Fire Festival, but we also have to. I'm still acknowledging the X% chance that it does.
new message.
Maybe no. Uh,
Did your phone die?
no, it is a message, but
Okay.
what was I saying? Yeah, so Zoro Shimotsuki stuff. I don't know. Maybe there's some convoluted way to fit that into the current Onigashima setup, but I personally don't think so.
Right, right.
But dude, yeah, we could be getting a Zoro backstory, which by the way, I've never wanted. You know, like
Yeah, I mean, I guess nobody really wanted it, but at the same time, if it's done well, no one's complaining. It's like the iPad.
okay, okay, I guess that's a good way to put it. I get, dude. Okay, I guess I just don't know. Like to me, there's almost nothing that could be added that doesn't like. I just don't know. Like, there's no need to like. What could be added that like makes his character better or more interesting or something like that. Like I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot that's still open to happen. I think someone mentioned that it's already like Wano's already going on over 70 chapters. So I mean, it kind of gives us a
Already
frame.
Okay, good. Some
Yeah.
people thought it wouldn't surpass Dressrosa, but look, like no matter if you think it ends.
Wait,
with
how
Red Gear,
long? How long was Dressrosa? I don't remember. Was it like
Dressrosa was 100 chapters or like 101 or something like that.
right?
Yes.
Oh
it
yeah,
started at like
that's gonna be
700 and
easy.
ended at like 800 basically.
And what did we estimate at the beginning of the arc? Something like 200.
Did we? I think, okay, I will. acknowledge. I thought.
I'm
it was,
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you said 200.
I said 200. I said 200, but I think it could still be 200.
Right.
I will not back down from that till the arc ends, although it is looking like I'm most likely going to be wrong at this point.
It's your chance to take down Marco as the ultimate predictor. The Fire Festival ending in failure, and then 200 chapters of Wano.
You're
It's
saying
gonna
that
be like-
okay? So I would have to, I would have to wait literally 3 years, pretty much, to get to the 200
For
mark
that
and then
win.
Be like,
For
Marco,
that's my win.
look at that.
We're playing the long game here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aofiji says Resource was 105. That doesn't seem right.
Was it?
I don't know. Maybe no. That wasn't 105. Seems like way too many.
Oh wait, Alfiji, we know each other. I'm gonna put you as a moderator. I don't have a proper overview over my chat right here.
Oh yeah, when I forget that there needs to be mods in. So then sometimes if none of
yeah.
people who are mods show up, then I'm just talking to like a bunch of
Oh.
delinquents running wild with no mod to control them.
That was actually a pretty funny story. Do you wanna talk about that story with the mods? What stream was that? Was that Brago's stream?
Oh, you're saying like that? That's not a story. That's just Brago won't mod me on his channel.
That was pretty funny because like so Brago set up a stream, and he was late to his stream, of course. So so we were all waiting and talking, and Morj dropped in, and Morj just kept asking why everyone was a moderator except him, but Brago wasn't even there.
Everybody else had the blue wrench next to them. Like everybody else. I was like, I have a like I'm talking about other YouTubers, right? So every other YouTuber that was there, from like 50 subs to 40k subs or whatever Ohara has right now, everybody else has their blue wrench next to them. I'm like just talking in chat like a plebe or whatever, begging for a blue wrench.
Just like
nobody's giving me it. They all have the power to make me a mod. Everybody's ignoring me, making fun of me.
I can't just be just like a peasant without my blue wrench.
Make me a mod. Just want to be a mod.
Are you a mod now, or are you still?
No, I haven't come back to that channel after I was so mistreated. No, I'll hop in next time and then I'll beg Brago. I'll be like, Brago, please make me a mod.
Please,
no
please,
dignity.
please.
Please, Brago. Please, I'll do anything. Make me a mod.
Oh man, that's pretty funny. Also, thanks Darren for the keep it up sticker. I didn't know there were stickers, but now I do. Much appreciated. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, but like going back to the chapter length, I do feel 200 is a pretty. It's not an unreasonable estimate, at least, I feel.
I mean, okay, like, look, if you look at like, the problem now, okay, I don't feel bad about my 200 estimate because, if Oda was going by normal pace, as in the pace he normally goes, that's what normal pace means, obviously, I guess. But
it's good that you clarified.
Yeah, like if you go back to any of his older arcs, like, and just see how much, how much he tends to fit into a chapter, but then you compare it to Wano, like Act 2 is really, really fast. Even if you just go compare to Act 1. If you go compare to Act 1 of Wano, which was what I would call Oda's usual pace, as soon as we got to Act 2, Oda was fitting in way, way, way more into each chapter. And I couldn't have predicted that. I mean, I'm making excuses. I'm most likely going to be wrong about the 200. You guys can make fun of me when that happens. But I'm just explaining my thought process before. Right? So, it's just a lot more that's being fit into each chapter. So, if it were to go at his, like, if you compare, like, how Act 1 moved and how much Oda tended to fit into Act 1 compared to how Act 2 moved, that's the difference right there, basically. So, I don't think I'd be that far off. Because if you count fights, for example, I've checked fights in previous arcs like Enies Lobby, Alabasta, where everybody's getting their own fight. Each fight tends to be about like 2 to 3 chapters long per person, like per opponent. So even if you just do that right here for all of the Straw Hats, and then Luffy's tends to be way longer.
Yeah,
that's
already 20 chapters.
Yeah, that's basically like 30 plus chapters right there just for fights. If you were to do that here. So even if this were the final battle, like right now, and we just lined up all the fights, then going by Oda's usual pace, we'd already be solidly past the 100 chapter mark, and then the ending, epilogue, etc. The difference is that he's pacing it so differently that I don't know, like maybe he only gives like one chapter per fight now, or maybe not even that. We don't know. And I hope he does his usual thing. Like I would prefer for it to be longer than it to be, fitting in a lot.
Then shorter.
But that's basically it.
I mean, in general, I feel like we said, there's just a couple of things that we expect from this arc, since it's so important, like the Straw Hats getting their fights, but also so much stuff getting cleared up, and at the same time putting in some character development for all the characters we've been introduced to.
Yeah.
It's definitely like Oda himself set himself a crazy task with this arc for sure.
This is nuts.
I'm super. I mean, I really like it so far, but yeah, we're still going up a very steep hill. So I'm excited to see how he handles everything, and I still want a lot of, like, I still feel we need a lot more characterization for Kaido. We need more character development for a lot of the Straw Hats. I feel, like
that's the thing that's missing for me at this point as well. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, like, I'm not sure if you said that, but I just assume that I know that you argued that the Fire Festival ending in failure is mostly based on the fact that that is something Oda generally does with his arc structure. But additionally, and you might have that argument or have made that already, but I also think that the Straw Hats didn't have a major failure in the New World so far, a real one.
That's true. In general, as a group, they have not.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I do feel that might be a valuable developing spot for them in general.
I think it's important because, you could argue, for example, that Luffy versus Kaido round 1 was that, but the difference is that they really brushed it off. So, Luffy wasn't phased by that, and maybe Luffy's never gonna be phased by that, but, the crew wasn't really phased by that either. Like, the following chapter was that, remember that chapter where they all made that face? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the case.
With you mean with the wanted poster thingies?
Yes. Compared to, for example, when Luffy first lost to... I remember, the way that Oda did it when they started the Grand Line, right? Like, the Grand Line had been hyped up for 100 chapters, etc., etc. Then they get to the Grand Line. Then the Straw Hats really had very little problem in the Grand Line, actually. Like, Whiskey Peak was a breeze. Little Garden, Drum Kingdom, those were actually all very, easy fights for them. Like, most of the crew didn't even participate. It's kind of similar to what's happened so far in the New World, right? And that was all up until Luffy fought Crocodile. And that's basically when Crocodile, Luffy got destroyed, obviously, and Crocodile said, this is, there's lots of little rookies like you on the Grand Line. And that was basically kind of the moment that Oda had been leading up to, where we kind of finally got to see what the Grand Line level was. And the big difference there was that the crew was really worried at that time when Luffy went to go fight Crocodile. And, you can read the following... If you go read the chapters when Luffy goes to fight Crocodile and the chapter after the fight, for example. Because, I was looking back recently just to see what feels a little different about Wano right now compared to in the past. The crew were really tense. They were really worried. They weren't sure if Luffy had won or not. And there was just, generally a lot of tension in the air going into the actual Alabasta climax. So that was really cool. And I felt like Oda might be doing something similar, just on a bigger scale in the New World, where they come into the New World, but it's been difficult, but like you've said, they haven't really had a significant failure in the New World so far. But even when Luffy lost to Kaido, it wasn't, the crew were fine with it, and it didn't really affect them. So I do think something has to happen at this point to actually phase them, and to live up to that basically New World level of threat, because that hasn't quite happened yet.
No, yeah, I do agree with that. Alfiji says he believes it's 180 chapters roughly, so underbidding you a little bit. Okay. Also, thank you for £2. Greetings to the island. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about? I feel like this is just despite the very low volume.
Yeah, I can't tell how low it is. I'm sorry, guys.
I can. It's so low. We should speak a little bit more quietly. But yeah. But this is going surprisingly well. I was expecting a lot more technical difficulties so far. Let's not jinx it, but let's see what we got. Hit us up with some question, guys.
Any other questions?
Yes, we need more of the life questions
And Radiant
here.
Duke agreeing the whole crew hasn't failed together since Saboti. Yeah, I mean, I hope this happens because I just think it's very important that kind of the new world lives up to
No, yeah,
the new
definitely.
world. Yeah.
Let's see.
Astaldo Care says Zoro getting angry for Luffy's loss to Caesar. Yeah, but stuff like that's gonna happen. That's not like that's a little more minor, you know? Like Luffy's lost to Caesar.
Right.
That was more like, hey, Luffy, sharpen up.
Yeah. Then we have one question here from Bob. I like the username. I do like Bob. Hey, Bob. Do you think Luffy will take down both Yonko, or will someone else take down one? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. Yeah, I think.
You go first.
Okay. I think we've been doing that. Sorry, I'll pick the next question. I feel like I should be picking some questions too.
That's fine.
Yeah. And I think I've said this for a while. Like, I think all the Yonko are Luffy's basically. I mean, I think Shanks gets killed by Blackbeard later down the line, but I do think Luffy runs the gauntlet of the Yonko by the time this is done. And not this Wano arc specifically, but I do think it's Big Mom and then Kaido. And I think that Big Mom and Kaido have both been set up as Luffy's opponents for a long time. And I think the story was largely building towards like a really huge epic arc like this, where Luffy comes out of it having beaten
Defeated
both
two.
the emperors with whatever circumstances you want to imagine. But yeah, I don't think I think it'd be really random if like Kid beat Big Mom. You know, like I know Kid has had encounters with the Big Mom pirates before or whatever, but like Kid right now is not like very little in the story that we've seen him so far has done anything to like connect him to like his current feelings or anger or whatever towards Big Mom basically.
Right.
Yeah, to me it's just Luffy beats Big Mom, then Kaido. I think that's why the crews are both here.
Yeah, no. I do also believe that Luffy has to fight both Big Mom and Kaido, but I also do believe that both of their defeats will be quite different. I think it's been set up that, well, I mean, while it's maybe debatable whether Kaido's a bit stronger in a 1v1 battle, I think it's been set up that both of them are relatively close in power. And nonetheless, I do believe that taking down Kaido will be a question of Luffy actually being physically strong, while I do still hold the firm belief that taking down Big Mom will be in some way or form interconnected to the entire Amnesia and Whole Cake Island plot that we've got so far.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because like it's not like Big Mom's like an easy stepping stone. Like you can't just beat both of them on raw strength or whatever.
Well, I mean, I guess you could, but I do feel
some people can.
that's I do feel that that's not what Big Mom's character has been for me. Like, I feel it's not her purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, her character was never about making Luffy or anyone stronger physically. Especially, I mean, that's literally what Kaido was all about. You know, his raw strength, like forcing Luffy to level up significantly. Similar as Katakuri, for example.
Yeah, I mean,
with Big Mom, I do feel...
I don't agree, but I see where you're coming from, basically. Like, in my mind, like, when Luffy says he's gonna beat Big Mom, it is gonna be, like, a fight. But at the same time, it is hard to imagine, like, well, how's he gonna go from beating Big Mom to then beating Kaido, unless there's, like, at least some time span between the two, which I don't think... I don't know. I feel like it all has to happen like in one big climax, so it's hard to imagine like just jumping from one to the other, basically. So you might be right on that.
Yeah.
Let me pick a question.
Yeah, you go pick. I'm just seeing we have like 330 viewers. That's pretty.
Oh, cool.
Pretty decent. Thanks for everyone who's listening.
Someone says, where's Zunisha right now? Will it play a role in the fight? I have no idea. There's something like Oda's got so much stuff set up, just so much stuff. It's just hard to remember it all. You know, like if it doesn't get mentioned for like a while, then you just forget that that's like a thing that's got to come into play.
Yeah, no, I do also. I mean, I think Zunisha still has a role to play. I just don't really think it's a battle purpose that she fulfills, but rather, I don't know. I think there's some connection to the ancient century. Obviously, to the ancient kingdom, but I don't see Zanisha being. Do you think Zanisha is an ancient weapon? Because I personally don't really.
I would hope not. I personally just don't like, and I know people have mentioned things like Momo being the third ancient weapon or whatever, like
Yeah,
Uranus or like Im himself being, um, the third ancient weapon. Like,
yeah.
I personally don't like the idea of two of three ancient weapons being like living creatures. Like the idea of one of the ancient weapons being a living being. That feels like that's more of an exception to me. Like that's or just it was very counterintuitive and surprising when we learned that it was Shirahoshi herself. Like she was literally an ancient weapon.
Right.
So to me, I wouldn't assume that the third one is a living creature.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, we do not really know. We've never really seen Pluton as well. So I mean, I don't think it's very likely, but it's just possible.
A Pluton's supposed to be a ship though. So
Yeah, but I mean, you can always twist,
oh,
you
you
know?
think they're all maybe like a living ship.
I mean, it
Yeah,
could,
maybe.
yeah, or I don't know, like a nat, like me. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Joy Boy. I saw a theory video of his who said like Zanisha might actually not be Uranus, but he might actually be Pluton.
Zunisha's the ship?
Yeah,
What the
since
hell?
basically in the water. I don't know.
Zunisha's
I
the
think.
ship. Okay, and they got to bring that to Wano and use it.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I think Zanisha is just walking out at sea somewhere, and will play some role again, but not in Wano. I do believe. I don't see that happening.
Oh, Piyush Chauhan asked Morjman, why don't you like Jinbei? And I love this question, and I'll always
Yeah,
try
why
and
don't you
answer
like
this.
Jinbei?
Um, I
Stop,
don't.
stop disliking him.
Jinbei is what do you call? Okay, I'll say this first. So Jinbei, back before he was an option for a crew member, right? Before he was an option for a crew member, to me he was always just kind of a dull character. Um, there's basic stuff like I didn't find his design. Um, I found his design kind of for like a Shichibukai. I found his fighting style to be extremely boring for like a Shichibukai. That's very surface level stuff. Okay, so there's that on the surface. To me, on the surface, not really particularly interesting or
But
likable.
he can do karate.
Yeah, but it's just like, and he does it slow too. Like it's like
What? But
slow style karate or something like that.
It's
Like,
powerful though, no?
yeah, it's just like this is lame. Okay, that's the surface level
What?
stuff. That's the surface level stuff. All right,
What?
we'll get that out of the way. I remember like one of his cool moves, like when he's like going towards, they do the jailbreak and stuff, and it's like, oh, Jinbei's gonna show off by stealing a ship, and then he throws like a water spear type thing at a ship, and I'm like, that's it. That's just so boring compared to some of the other abilities. And then later on, he calls some whale sharks. I'm like, this is a tragedy.
What?
We've heard Jinbei
This
for
is
so long,
so-
and he's just this
Wow.
blob of okay, whatever. Okay, all right. Those are the bad reasons to
Wow.
dislike Jinbei. All right, those are the bad reasons to dislike Jinbei.
No,
all
these
right?
are the reasons to love Jinbei
Okay.
because those are actually pretty awesome abilities, in my opinion.
Those are the bad reasons to dislike Jinbei. Okay, I'm not defending. Those are my personal biased thoughts. Here's a little more. Okay, for me, Jinbei as a character, he's too. His character trait, like his defining character trait, is basically he's a good person. That's not a fun character. Like he has no sort of everything about him is purely noble, just he's like from start to finish in Marine Ford, he's doing the right, like the entire impel down through Marine Ford arc, he's doing the right thing. He's acting as the right guide for Luffy in his actions, and that's continued throughout Fishman Island, through Whole Cake Island. Always sacrificial, always noble. Like there's no sort of okay. For example, if you take a character like and I'll say this for multiple Straw Hats, right? If you take a character like, let's say any of the starting 5 Straw Hats, right? Like Zoro, who is a very sacrificial character, very loyal, very sacrificial and stuff, but he's also a bit of a dick. he's also like Zoro's a cool character because he's a jerk on the surface with a
Wait,
heart
wait,
of
wait.
gold. Like,
Are
know
you
what I mean?
saying?
I've talked
Are
about
you
this
saying
before.
Jinbei is too nice?
Jinbei is just too good. Like, there's nothing sort of rough around the edges about Jinbei. Like, Nami, greedy, cat burglar, can be angry, can be violent, like, stuff like that. Sanji, you could list off, like, a whole laundry. Like, Sanji's really good and a very kind person at his core. But on the surface, he's, like, a very foul-mouthed, you know, like, dickish. Like, if you go back to Barati, for example, the first thing Sanji did was, like, beat up a guest because he didn't like his cooking. But then he went and fed Jin because Jin was hungry. Like, to me, those are interesting characters where, you know, there's like more to them than just being a good person. Like,
Wait,
it's
but
like
you
there's a
don't see
good
that with Jinbei?
I don't see that with Jin. Like, to me, it's like
Really?
underneath
Despite
what they are underneath the surface is not like what they um might initially seem like, basically, or like traits that they show very frequently. Whereas with Jinbei, from the start, it was like him agreeing, like from the like there was just never anything. What's negative about Jinbei? You know what I mean?
Well,
like that's to me, that's just it.
the
Like, he's
thing-
just there to always say the
Right.
right thing or be the good person. That's not a fun
Well,
character to me.
well, for me, for me, it is simply that Jinbei, for me, has already had his character development in the past, right? Because like, we learn about Jinbei's character in his flashback arc, where we actually go from him.
Dude, I
being this-
saw your video and I agree with you. Sorry, like, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, why I don't like him now. Because,
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah,
to
right.
me, it's just, like, that doesn't change the fact
don't
that,
know.
like, day to day, every panel that he's in, it's basically, like,
Oh, okay.
saying something good or advising Luffy or doing something noble, sacrificial. Like, he's never gonna have, like, a dickish moment like the rest of the crew, or, like, do something, like, a little off, or, like, you know, he's just too good. That's just a boring character, to me.
Right.
All right, so there's that.
Right.
There's the minor thing that someone just pointed out in chat, that he has no gags either to round it out. Like, even Chopper has like, characters have
Wait,
gags
I
and
think
stuff.
I think Jinbei has gags, no?
What's his gag?
Doesn't he? There was something.
That's
It's
there.
been
You
like
go.
forever. It's been like forever.
There you go.
He's been in a
Okay, he
chapter
hasn't
in the
been
first
there for
place.
it. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, but then here's the
I-
really big thing. Here's the really big thing.
Oh, there's even more.
No, this
Oh
is the
my
really
God.
big thing. Okay,
Okay,
those
okay.
aren't reasons to like hate Jinbei, right? Like, I didn't hate him during Marineford. I just felt very neutral to him. I liked seeing him, like, help out Luffy at the end, like, collect himself and be like, "What do you still have? I have my friend." Like, I was okay with it. I was like, this character does seem like just a generally very good character. Like, you know, he's just there to always be good, do the right thing, or whatever. But the thing that bothered me was when he joining the crew spots are so valuable that, like, because with each new member of the crew, you're losing some screen time a little bit, like some percentage for everybody else in the crew, and everything's getting a little more crowded, which means that any new member of the crew, in my mind, has to, like, really, really add to or build the dynamic. To me, Jinbei is a character that more so takes away from other characters. You know what I mean? Because so far, at least
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I do agree with your argument in a different way, I guess. Because I do agree that Jinbei, having officially joined the Straw Hats, but then never journeying with them, really,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where my issue lies. But that is less the fault of his character. That's more the fault of adding Jinbei to the crew,
Yeah.
but then kind of like not having him be there, and basically having him take away any other potential Straw Hats, you know.
You're right.
Without even being in the role. So I do agree with you in that. I don't think, like, let's say a Jinbei joined, I don't know, before the time skip, and had, like, been a regular member of the crew. I do believe, like, that, and that's what I do understand your points. For me, it's just, I guess, a personal taste.
Mhm.
I would have think that Jinbei, as a regular Straw Hat, going through all these arcs would have been a very interesting and refreshing addition to the crew. But I do agree with you that it's very annoying that he's officially a Straw Hat, but then he's never there. You never know what he's up to. Like, that is frustrating, and I do agree with you on that.
Okay, I agree that it's not, like, it's not against his character specifically if I'm upset that he's, like, join the crew, but like him being a part of the crew and how that affects other characters, that's not like a criticism of the character itself.
Right.
But to me, basically, it's like once he does join, like part of it is that is he part of the crew? Is he not? It looks like he is at this point. But like once he joins the crew, I feel like he does take away from what other characters currently offer, which is like Robin right now in the New World so far. A good like 50% of the time that she gets to speak is offering information, like explaining stuff to the crew that they don't really know because she has more knowledge of the world, New World, stuff like that, how things work. But if Jinbei's part of the crew, Jinbei's definitely going to be kind of taking over in that regard. And he already was in Whole Cake Island, like the sort of explaining stuff, the voice of knowledge or wisdom or whatever. So that's already encroaching kind of like in one of the few areas where Robin gets to still speak. In terms of like, Jinbei seems to guide Luffy a lot towards the right actions. But to me, I like Nami for that. Like, I like the fact that, like, the person who speaks sense to Luffy the most frequently is Nami. And then on other occasions, Zoro. But Zoro's situations are very specific. So usually it's Nami. But, like, in Whole Cake Island, for example, Jinbei was the one who was very frequently being like, Luffy, this is the right path or whatever. Like, it was, I don't know, to me it's just like, he doesn't bring that much new to the crew. Like, the things that he as a character brings to the crew, which are like guidance, information, stuff like that, even underwater fighting, which up till now Sanji had, like, it's all stuff that takes away from other members of the crew. Whereas in the past, like, if you add like a Chopper, for example, that's a new dynamic because they didn't have like a little kid, naive, basically the baby of the crew character. Like, whether you like Chopper or not, that's adding a new dynamic that doesn't hurt anybody else and like actually adds to stuff. Robin, they never had a character like Robin who was this mysterious sort of detached figure and stuff like that. Like, I like when a new dynamic gets added to the crew versus like, to me, Jinbei feels like he takes away from what other people do.
I think, yeah, I do understand your argument. I feel for me personally, and this is, I guess, maybe less argumentative and like, or less factual or objective, but like more perceptive, I guess. I do like the role that Jinbei plays or is supposed to play for me on the crew, and I also feel like he adds something new there, because for me, Jinbei is this person who does have all the experience that the Straw Hats are still in the process of gathering, basically, up to this point. And he is someone who can actually inform the crew or actually share with the crew his experience as a pirate that he had over such a long time. Basically, the same Brook would have had if he hadn't been stuck somewhere, somewhere Brook. In the fog.
He could be such a voice of experience. But
he could be. So then I feel like at the same time, this is the issue why Oda constantly keeps pushing him away from the crew again and again, because Brook would be someone that would kind of be like a cheat code for the crew in many ways, because, like, even at Marineford, like, he was already a top tier fighter who kind of like joined up with Luffy, and, without Jinbei, I think it's pretty fair to say that Luffy wouldn't have made it as far, or it would have, got away from Marineford. So it's kind of like, like when you're in a game and then you have like a player who's like 30, 40 levels above you help you in your area. It's kind of like, it kind of feels like that. And I do feel like Oda had the feeling that having Jinbei around would make things too easy or too obvious for the crew in many ways. Like having Jinbei around on Punk Hazard or whatever. Like,
he's also very strong. Like, wherever you put it, like, I think if you're being fair based on feats, or like, Jinbei should technically be like second, right? Like, I mean, I think Zoro or Sanji could be stronger than him, right? I think Zoro and Sanji can be stronger than him right now, but I'm saying, as far as we know, Jinbei would probably be, like, as far as what's been proved. Okay, that's too controversial. I don't know.
No, keep talking. I want to see the chat. And see
shit, people are gonna get mad. I think but no, Zoro, I do agree. I do agree with you. Can be stronger than him right now. I'm saying we don't know. They totally could be. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if I had to just give it to someone off the top, I would probably give it to Jinbei by default. And I don't even like Jinbei, for the record. Just remember that. I'm just saying.
I mean, he is a warlord, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that much, because, like, I think Zoro and Sanji are stronger than like certain other warlords, but
A point that I do give you and that I feel might play a role in this is that Jinbei being part of the crew and not being there, not only does it, like I said earlier, not only does it take away and annoy from the possibility of other member or other people joining the crew, it also takes away from Jinbei getting the chance to develop more as a character and actually have build a dynamic with the entire crew. Because usually it was like with every crew member, it was like you join the crew, you have some time to get to know everyone, you form a dynamic, and then we sail on to the next adventure. With the exception of Robin, maybe, but even she had already built a connection to the crew and a dynamic with the crew, authentic one.
Yeah.
Before
Robin,
being before being abducted, but like with Jinbei, we never had that. Like he met everyone kind of at Fishman Island, but like his main function there was filling us in what happened over the time skip.
Yeah. I mean, he did it with Luffy. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, he definitely built that with Luffy really tight, but he hasn't... Has he spoken, like, 3 words to, Frankie, for example? Like, I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe in Fishman Island, Frankie was...
on the ship, but, like, I don't think they really talked ever.
Frankie met Tom's brother. I don't know if they interacted with...
To be fair, like, I really, really like Frankie also as a character, but to be fair, also, like, since the time skip, he didn't have a lot of very meaningful interactions with the crew in general. Like, there was his fight with Senior Pink that I, in retrospect, enjoy.
But that's from the Senior Pink side a little more,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was fun to read and fun to watch, but it wasn't really, it wasn't really a...
Not for the fight aspect.
Yeah.
It was comedy and then the surprisingly great backstory.
It's kind of like similar, like Chopper has been a bit gone from the Dr. Reindeer to like the cotton candy hat thingy.
Yeah. I mean,
Frankie's
that just happened.
Yeah.
I think, okay, here's what I personally think, and like I have high hopes for Wano in this. But again, a lot depends on like how much longer we have in Wano and how much more time we get for this. But I think like when Oda's focused in on a character, okay, I'm gonna focus in on the character and give them a good storyline for this arc. Then the character acts. So like Chopper and Punk Hazard, for example, when we had to deal with like the kids with gigantism and stuff like that, that was more like real Chopper, where he had more of an emotional range and like actual conflict and stuff like that. So like whenever a Straw Hat has something to work with in a given arc, Oda's able to write them like with some level of like the original way that they're written. If that makes sense or whatever. And like then you have like an arc like Any Slobby where everyone's really emotionally invested and like everybody's getting fights, for example. So Oda's really able to like get to the core of each Straw Hat. But then for arcs where like there's a lot of stuff going on, and you just have to give each Straw Hat like a bit of space here, a bit of space there, and stuff like that. That's when Oda kind of defaults to the easiest sort of. So like he'll just have Frankie say super, or like like characters act in more simple ways, basically, because it's just easier because there's so many characters that he has to work with, so you can't give time to writing each one in like kind of a bit more sophisticated way, even though he can.
Right.
So, I hope basically in Wano, but just that I hope in Wano, like, there is a strong section where, Red X, I totally agree. I think Wano is a very strong opportunity for a lot of the Straw Hats to get some significant focus. But I think a lot of that's contingent on, like, some of these other plot lines being cleared up or out of the way. I think that's why it's good that a lot of the Scabbard stuff is out of the way at this point. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I do have very high hopes for Wano, and I do feel with some characters it's already been getting better. I do feel Chopper has gotten, especially with Whole Cake Island and also with Wano, I do feel he's gotten more important tasks and a bit more characterization again after the time skip, especially like outsmarting Brûlé and then obviously taking care of the entire Big Mom situation. I mean, you can think about that what you want, but it definitely shows that Chopper, like he has grown up a bit, I feel, over these last two arcs. So I do like that. I still want to see more of that for Robin, especially because Robin is one of these members. Like, I mean, we talked about that also very often, but she has so much potential, and then she gets to do so little past the time skip. Obviously, she will play an enormous role again towards the end game, especially after Wano, probably. But I still feel that doesn't mean you can't. You like we often say how good Oda is with creating a lot of meaning in small panels and small like encounters and small sentences. I feel like he could give more to that to the Straw Hats, to some of the Straw Hats, and especially Frankie is my almost my biggest complaint because I think he's such a cool character, but after the time skip, he just like turned into this. Like they basically
he became a robot, like
yeah,
more man,
he literally
or more machine than man, and he
yeah.
like really embraced that part of it basically.
Because when we got to meet Frankie, like he still had that goofy side to him, but he like there was more to that, right? Like there was he was still
the Cuddy Flam from
yeah, the Cuddy Flam was definitely left, and like now it's basically just the goofy robot that's left, or it feels like it, and that's what's really bothering me about his character at the moment.
I mean, all it takes is just like some storylines that each character basically gets, but that's obviously easier said than done. Like they each need that to a degree, to varying degrees right now, basically. So it's just like if Wano delivers on that, then it's going to be one of my favorite arcs, period. I could see a world where Wano is my favorite arc in the story, but it depends a lot on what it does with the Straw Hats at this point. Because, like, we've worked our way through a lot of the cast of Wano outside of the Straw Hats, basically. So it's going to come down to what is actually done with the Straw Hats themselves. Dude, even Brook, by the way, like, Brook was not... like people were saying that Brook needs a lot more screen time prior to Whole Cake Island. It's just that Oda went so hard on Brook in Whole Cake Island that people have forgotten.
Yeah.
But Brook was the most neglected character, and he's gone back. Tell me two things that Brook has done in Wano so far.
He sat in the well.
Okay. He did. We never saw that, right? That was off panel.
No, I think there was one panel where he sat in the well as a skeleton.
Oh, okay.
And there was the one scene where he looked really cool in the Kabuto armor that he's not wearing now anymore. By the way, what happened to that? Like, I'm the last person complaining about the current outfit of the Straw Hats because I think they all look dope. Yeah. But I don't understand what was the point of having Chopper, Luffy, and Brook dressed in Kabuto in the samurai armor, but then the next time we see them, they've lost it.
I was like, I thought they're gonna fight in this, but
yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I do think the current designs are awesome, especially Luffy with like his cape. I was just wondering what was the point of showing us them putting on the armor.
I don't know. I wish that they still had it because that armor was pretty cool too.
And I did love. I think Chopper is still wearing it, and I think Nami has like something in that style, and Frankie also. Suddenly Nami's wearing that. I don't know what happened. Probably Oda's editors were like, "Dude, you can't have Luffy fight in that armor. Like, people, how are people gonna know that that's Luffy? Like, he has to."
It might be ease of drawing too, to be honest. It's like
maybe
whatever the current outfit is, it's way easier to draw that than the Kabuto outfit.
Dude, basically. I love that in the last chapter. Like everyone looked so cool. Like everyone got an upgrade. Like Nami with like her ninja kind of outfit. I love that. And then Sanji, he just got like basically the black outfit with the black gloves, but it looked super badass. Basically like this Jason Statham aesthetic kind of.
Dude, and then there's just Zoro. Sanji was wearing. I thought the stuff that he was wearing before, the Japanese clothes for Sanji, were kind of lame. Like, this looks really nice. Kind of just looked like, I don't know,
like a Zopa Venda.
Yeah, like a Zopa Venda. Yeah, it didn't look cool.
And then there was just Zoro. Like, he looked so badass in a samurai outfit, and now he just looks like he always does.
Yeah, it's just back to being Zoro.
It's just back to normal. Yeah. Oh, man. I'm not even sure. I might have to check on the chapter. I'm not sure if he even kept his hair knot, because that looked really badass.
Yeah, so, I mean, Zoro's supposed to be, like if they were to have nationalities, right? Supposedly, Zoro's is supposed to be Japanese.
Yeah, really?
So I think Zoro's, I guess, born to, and obviously he's supposedly a Wano original, like a Wano native. So I guess he's born to wear the top knot and kimono and stuff like that.
Yeah. I like this
Not kimono,
question
you know what I
here.
mean? That stuff.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Do you think that Oda sacrificed character development for world building with how big One Piece has gotten, or would he be neglecting world building by honing in on the Straw Hats? I think that's a very fair
Uh,
question.
yeah. So I mean, um, I think this is why a lot of, at least for post time skip, comes down to Wano for me, because it depend. Like Oda has built a very big storyline that's all leading up to Wano, so it's kind of like it just depends on how this one goes. Because if Oda devotes a lot of time to the Straw Hats, like yeah, if Oda devotes a lot of time to the Straw Hats character development in this arc, and there's still room to do so, and it tops the previous arcs, like it tops what he's done in previous arcs, like in Enies Lobby or a Marineford. Well, I mean Marineford, they weren't even there for most of it, but post Marineford. But
Yeah.
if he gives them storylines that are really true to those characters, and there's so much room to do that, I think right now, um, if he does that, um, then he then I would say he's successfully done both. I think just the nature of building a very large storyline means that, like, um, arcs like Dressrosa, Punk Hazard, Zoe, etc. Like maybe it has to be like you can't have as in-depth storylines on the main characters, because a lot of it is build up to like setting pieces in place, reverie, etc. Setting pieces in place for the sake of like one really climactic finale, and then in like the real meat of it, that's when you can get back into the characters, because that's when everything is turned up to 11 and all the setups in place, and now you can just have a really high stakes character driven storyline. So I think, yeah, basically to me it just comes down to, like, if I had to say right now, regardless of how Wano ends, yeah, I would say that the Straw Hats, most of them had more focus, more storylines given to them each arc, better character stuff pre time skip. I would agree with that. But I just don't think it's fair to judge till Wano's over, because I like to believe that Oda is aware of how he's writing his story, and that he has deliberately built up towards an arc that can be more focused on the Straw Hats.
No, yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I do agree. Um I think in general, expanding your universe always, like you said earlier with Jinbei, like if you go into a larger scale, with every new character, long-term character especially, that you introduce into the story, you will take away some screen time from other characters. So obviously, since Oda has built such an enormous universe, that does obviously always take away time from our protagonists. At the same time, I feel like it's important to remember that One Piece is a manga series that's almost been going on for 1,000 chapters. And I think it's pretty fair to say that without that excessive world building, we would not be at 1,000 chapters. We would be at 2, 3, 400 chapters and maximum, and that's it. Just following the Straw Hats, like getting quickly introduced to someone who's then defeated or whatever. So I do think your argument is, like, speaking to the person who posed that question. I do believe your argument is not wrong, saying that introducing more world building can take away from individual personalization. But I do believe this only goes for the situation where we speak about the same time frame. Like when we say we do have a fixed 200 chapters, and then I can say, okay, I know I have to be done in this and that time frame, and I do have to choose: do I expand my world or do I focus on my characters? But since for Oda it seems like he doesn't, like, he does have some framework, I guess, for his story, but largely he's expanded the story so many times. I think he has the ability to say, okay, I do want to insert something here that I think is important to my world building. So, but this is not gonna make me, cut out the part where I wanted to show Luffy having this and that conversation with Nami or whatever. So I do believe that the thing it gets, so in One Piece case, I do not believe that this takes away from the personal development, but I do believe that it's spread out a lot more. So the characterization moments, especially for weekly readers, happen a lot less frequently now.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons, right? And I think you did put it well. Like, it depends on the time frame of it. Like, if you say within this 200 chapters this has to happen, or within this 200 chapters this has to happen. So, and you also have to give credit to the fact that, like, you're talking about character development of the main characters here mostly, right? Like, so the Straw Hats. But, like, if you look at, like, an arc like Dressrosa, the peripheral character, like, I think Dressrosa is the arc where there were the most peripheral characters that had significant character development. So it wasn't the Straw Hats, but that's not to say that there wasn't significant character development,
Right. Right.
So it depends how you think about that. I think I'm going to have to call it at this point because I do have to get something done soon, and I'm very hungry because, as you know,
same.
I woke up and then I didn't eat breakfast, and then I did
That's
this.
harsh. Should do some intermediate fasting.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
I know. I'm not doing that. I did it accidentally
also,
today, but I try not to.
By accident. That's good. That's good. You can get used to it. But yeah, I'm also hungry. Well, thank you everyone who dropped by today. It was a lot of fun. This was, I guess, if you take away the volume issues, this was more successful than I anticipated. Connection was good also. Yeah, definitely let us know in the comments below also how you like a live feedback. Even for those people who just listen to this after it's been re-uploaded, I'd be interested to hear what you think about this format being live here and then. As always, make sure to support the stream on the channel, but also on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to this. And make sure to check out Mr. Morj's channel and subscribe to both of us if you enjoy our content. Otherwise, we hope everyone out there is staying safe during these harsh times. I'm not gonna say the demonetization word, but yeah, I hope everyone's fine. Definitely make sure to stay inside, read some One Piece.
Wait, the demonetization word?
Yeah. Don't say it.
What's...
I'm gonna tell you later.
Okay. What? I need to know it so I don't get demonetized.
Okay, then I'm not gonna tell you.
Just tell me now. We'll sacrifice the stream. All right, whatever.
Okay. Well,
all right.
That's it. See you guys next week. Bye bye.
All right, bye.